Welcome students. Today's topic is fracture both bone leg. So first of all, what is the fracture? Fracture is the discontinuity in the structure of the bone, maybe break in cortex, medulla. So today we will discuss the both bone leg fracture. So there may be single transverse fracture of the tibia with fibula intact. There may be spiral fracture with shortening. There may be comminuted fracture in which more than one pieces of the bone is there, and there may be segmental fracture in which there is marked shortening and there is a segment of the bone. Then tibia and fibula fracture shaft are most common fracture of the long bone fractures. Incidence is 26 tibial fracture per 1 lakh population per year. Maximum young male is between 15 and 19 years of age. This is the active life period. Average age for men is 31 years and for women is 54 years. Diaphyseal tibial fracture have the highest rate of non-union for the all long bones. Anatomy of the both bone leg. Or tibia is a long tubular bone with triangular cross-section area. It is subcutaneous on the anterior mid border, responsible for the large number of open tibial fractures. Also, often there is loss of the bone through the wound. Bounded by the four anterior, lateral, superficial posterior and deep posterior compartments. Fibula is responsible for 6 to 17% of the weight bearing load. So its major function is for the muscle attachment. Both bone leg anatomy vascularity. Nutrient entry arises from the posterior tibial artery entering the posterior lateral cortex distal to the origination of the soleus muscle. So this is the main artery. Intramedullary canal has 3 ascending branches and 1 descending branch. Then endosteal vascular tree which anastomosis with the periosteal vessel rising from the anterior tibial artery. Anterior tibial artery is vulnerable to injury because it passes through the hiatus in the interosseous membrane which connects the two bones. The peroneal artery has an anterior communicating branch to the dorsal spadial artery. Therefore, it may be occluded despite an intact dorsal spadial pulse. Distal third is supplied by the periosteal anastomosis around the ankle with the branches entering the tibia through the ligamentous attachment. If nutrient artery is disrupted, there is reversal of the flow through the cortex and the periosteal blood supply become more important. Emphasize that importance of the preserving periosteal attachment during the fixation. Both hinge joints proximally and distally is the knee and ankle joint. So even a small degree of rotational malalignment of the leg fracture become noticeable. There become deformity and it may cause knee or ankle pain. So this picture is showing the anatomy of the two bones along with vascularity and the muscle attachments. Then mechanism of injury, that is direct, that is high energy bending, penetrating gunshot, low energy bending and fibula shaft fracture. Indirect, that is torsional mechanism, stress fracture and indirect, there is high energy bending, transverse comminuted displaced fracture commonly occur. In penetrating gunshot wound, the injury pattern is variable but usually comminuted. Low energy bending, 3 or 4 points. short oblique or transfer fracture occur with their possible butterfly fragment. Fibula shaft fracture, these typically result from the direct trauma to the lateral aspect of the leg, and spiral fractures are seen proximally with rotational ankle fracture or the low energy twisting tibial injuries. In indirect, the torsional mechanism, the twisting with the foot fixed and falls from the heights are the causes. These leads to spiral non-displaced fractures have minimum communication associated with the little soft tissue damage. Type 1 open fracture may be seen with this mechanism. Stress fracture. In military recruitment, these injuries most commonly occur at the metaphyseal diaphyseal junction, with sclerosis being most marked at the posterior medial cortex. In ballet dancers, these fractures most commonly occur in the middle third. They are overuse injuries that are insidious in onset. The dotted black line is pathognomic. Evaluation of the neurovascular status is critical. Dorsalis pedis and the posterior tibial artery pulses may be evaluated, and documentation, especially in the open fracture, in which vascular flap may be necessary. So this is the clinical evaluation. So common peroneal and the tibial nerve integrity must be documented. This is very important to see the neurovascular status of the limb distal to the fracture site. Assess of the tissue injury. The fracture blisters may contraindicate the early open reduction of the periarticular fractures. Tibial fractures may be associated with injury to the knee ligaments. Then monitor for the compartment syndrome. Pain out of proportion to the injury is the most reliable sign of the compartment syndrome. The hallmark in this is passive stretching of the muscle, that is dorsiflexion of the dorsiflexion of the foot will cause intense pain, which is the indicator of the compartment syndrome in fracture both bone leg. So compartment pressure measurement that have been used is an indication for the compartment fasciotomy have been a pressure within 30 mm of the diastolic pressure. It should be normal is 0 to 10 mm. Then deep posterior pressure may be elevated in the presence of the soft tissue, superficial posterior compartment. So these 5 P's, that is the circulation assessment. 5 P's must be remembered, that is pain, pulse, pallor, paresthesia and paralysis. So this is the method to measure this was the old one, now it is not now used, but this is the digital. In this, pin is picked in the compartment and pressure is measured. So this is very easy, but not available here. And these are the compartments. This leg contains 4 compartments. One is anterior, then lateral, and 2 posterior. One is superficial and one is deep. So the pressure is measured in all 4 compartments. Then radiological evaluation of the fracture, we go for the X-ray, anterior, posterior, and lateral view. Then oblique views may be taken, may be helpful to further characterize the fracture pattern. So post-reduction radiographs should be taken. Then presence of the comminution or distance that bone fragment have displaced from their anatomical location. Then any osseous defect can be seen. Then quality of the bone that is the osteoporotic, metastatic or pathological fracture, osteoarthritis of the neighboring joints, or any arthroplasty of the joints. Then air in the soft tissue, usually secondary to the open fracture, but may also signify the presence of the gas gangrene, necrotizing fasciitis, or other anaerobic infections. Then the proximal and the distal and fractures of, of the both bone, that should be scrutinized by the CT scan. That is, fracture, intra-articular fracture should be scrutinized by the CT scan so as to make the proper alignment of the joint during the surgery. Technetium bones scanning and MRI scanning may be useful in diagnosing the stretched fracture before these injuries must become obvious on plain radiograph. Angiography is indicated if an arterial injury is suspected based on ankle or brachial indexes or diminished pulses. And classification. This is a descriptive. This can be due to soft tissue, that is open versus closed fracture, anatomical location, proximal, middle or distal third fracture, fragment number and position, that is communication fracture or butterfly fragments, configuration, that is transverse or spiral or oblique, angulation, varus valgus or an anterior posterior, pro or recurvatum, then displacement, percentage of the cortical contact, then rotation, then shortening. So classification is the orthopedic trauma association classification of the tibial fracture. 4 number is given to the tibia. So according to proximal, this proximal fracture is 41, diaphyseal fracture is 42, and distal 1/3 fracture is 43. Both bone leg classification, Gastillo and Anderson in cases of the compound fracture, that is the open fracture. In type 1, there is clean skin opening of the less than 1 centimeter, usually a poke hole from the inside to outside, minimum muscle contusion, simple spiral or short oblique fracture. Type 2, laceration more than 1 centimeter long with extensive soft tissue damage, minimum to moderate crushing component, simple transverse or short oblique fracture with minimum comminution. Then type 3, extensive soft tissue damage greater than 10 centimeter in length, including muscle, skin and neurovascular structure, often a high energy injury with a severe crushing component. Type 3A, extensive soft tissue laceration, adequate soft tissue coverage, segmental fracture, gunshot injuries, minimum periosteal stripping. Type 3B, extensive soft tissue injury with periosteal stripping and bone marrow exposure. This is type 3B, exposure requiring soft tissue flap, in this case, and usually associated with the massive contamination. And type 3C, that is, in this there is arterial injury or that requires repair. And there one type is cotton fracture, that is trimalleolar fracture of the distal part of the leg. That is the trimalleolar fracture is a fracture of the ankle that involves the lateral malleolus and the medial malleolus and the distal posterior aspect of the tibia, which can be termed the posterior malleolus. The trauma is sometimes accompanied by ligament damage and dislocation. Dupuytren fracture. Dupuytren fracture is a type of bimalleolar ankle fracture, a fracture of the distal portion of the fibula above the lateral malleolus with an associated tear of the tibiofibular ligament and the deltoid ligament. There is lateral displacement of the talus and the possible medial malleolus fracture as well.